Hi guys, so I am 11 weeks and 1 day today. I had an appointment yesterday. First I'm going to talk about my symptoms and then I'm going to talk about my appointment because that has a little bit of a story to it. So I'm still nauseous at random. I actually threw up, really threw up a few days ago, but lately it seems like it's been going a little bit down. I don't really know. I hope it's going away because usually by the first trimester it goes down a little bit at least, so I'm hoping it's going to start to go away soon. I'm constantly hungry and I still have no appetite, and at this point I always crave junk food, and not junk food like Cheetos junk food, but McDonald's and Taco Bell and the fast food restaurants. But then I'm trying to weigh it out, seeing it as either I eat something like this or I don't eat at all. So I don't know which one's better because I physically cannot eat pretty much anything, and so I have to force feed myself to try to eat healthy. And I can eat fruits and stuff, but I don't know about you guys, but I even if I eat a full serving of fruits and vegetables, it just doesn't fill me up. I don't know, it's just weird. So I try to get enough fruits and vegetables, but when it comes to meals, I'm not eating the healthiest. I should really try to be, I try to eat healthy, but I just have no appetite for anything. One weird symptom that I have is that I constantly have to brush my teeth because I feel like my mouth is dirty. I have you know how you eat something and then a few hours later you can taste what you ate in your mouth? Well, even if I brush my teeth, sometimes I can still taste it, and that's what triggers my nauseousness because I'm just ew, that's disgusting. So I am constantly brushing my teeth all the time. I don't sleep well and I have weird dreams, just not really weird dreams, just random dreams. I had a dream of some show that I went to the other day, and it's just random and they're really vivid, so it's just weird. I'm still always tired. My belly button is almost completely popped out, and sometimes it is popped out, especially at night, and just depending on how my stomach, because my stomach will just throughout the day just change. And last night I told Drake to give the babies a kiss, so he did, and he's like, your belly button's out, and I looked down and sure enough my belly button was popping all the way out, and I was like, oh my god, no. And I still swear that I'm feeling some kind of movement. It is only low down, really low down, and it's usually at nighttime, which is when Lilia used to be really active, and it'll just be a little flutter here and there, and I just feel little flutters. It's not full on kicking obviously, but I'm just feeling little flutters, and I don't know, I'm still not 100% convinced that it's the babies that I'm feeling because I'm so early on, but it's really consistent, and I think it might actually be the babies that I'm feeling, which is insane. So as for my appointment, I had an appointment yesterday with a different doctor than I had with Lilia. I really want to see the same doctor, but there's complications with that, so I'm trying to figure out how I can get to go to that doctor. But in the meantime, I have to get prenatal care, so I need to see an OB. So I made an appointment with an OB that I heard a few people told me about, and at first everything was perfectly fine. So I went into the office, I had to fill out all the new papers like you always have to do if you're a new patient, and then I waited a little bit. They called me back there, and at first the nurse was really nice, and she was just talking and stuff like that, and she weighed me, and I gained 4 pounds actually since before I was pregnant. I was 130 exactly, when I first found out I was pregnant, and now I'm 134. So I've gained 4 pounds already, which I guess is normal because you're supposed to gain weight, especially since I'm gaining belly, so it makes sense that I'm gaining weight too. So far I've gained 4 pounds. Then she took me back to the room where I was gonna get examined and everything. So again, first she was really nice, and she took my blood pressure. My blood pressure was good, and she said that she had me get undressed completely because he was going to do a breast examination and a pap smear, of course, which is very routine. You're supposed to get one every year, and I got one. You have to get one 6 weeks after you have a baby. So last time I got one was in early August of last year, so it was about on time because it's September now. So it was about on time, and they had me undressed completely and put on the little sheets they have to do, and you sit bare naked on a cold little table and all of this was perfectly fine. So then the doctor came in, and he was really nice at first, and he was just like, he was cool with everything, and he was just kind of talking, and he asked if I had seen any doctors in this pregnancy, and I said no, and I said, but I did go to a clinic, and he was like, oh, did they give you an ultrasound? And I was like, yeah, and according to the ultrasound, I'm having twins. So he was like, really? Oh, okay. And then the nurse, at that point, the nurse kind of got, I don't really know, because like first she took all my information, of course, like in the beginning of the appointment, and then she's like, oh, so you're having twins. And that might just be like her personality, but just like the way she said it was kind of like, I don't know, I just thought it was kind of rude the way she said it. And this isn't, like, I was still fine with everything. I was just like, whatever, that's just her personality or whatever. But I felt like because the nurse was in the room the entire time that the doctor was like checking me out and everything. And she was just like standing there staring, and I felt like, I just got like a bad vibe. Like I felt like she was like staring me down, like she was mad at me or something. That's not the part that was bothering me. That's just like, that just made me feel kind of weird, because she was just like standing there, and I felt like she was kind of mean mugging me. So anyway, the doctor did a breast examination, everything was fine, and he did a pap smear, and he got a good like good swab of everything, so I'll get the results in a few weeks. Then it came, so then he was done with all the examination and everything, and at that point, that's when doctors usually say, like, okay, do you have any questions? So he didn't ask that at first, and so I just went ahead and I was like, well, I have a few questions, and because he seemed like he was wrapping up the appointment, and I was like, I actually have a few questions, because it was the first appointment, so I was like, I had a lot of questions, obviously. And so the first one, of course, is, how do you feel about videotaping? And he was okay, he's perfectly okay with videotaping and all that stuff, so that is a plus. But then, like, I asked him a question, I don't remember in what context it was, but it was something about making, because I was talking about how I make videos on YouTube and stuff like that, and he thought it was cool. He said his daughter works for Google in Mountain View, where the Google headquarters is, and Google owns YouTube. So we were just like talking about that, and I just asked a question, and he said something along the lines of, well, you know, I gotta make money too, which I just kind of thought was inappropriate for a doctor to say, because it just, like, I don't know. That was just like it was like a little red flag, and I was just like, okay. At that point, there was just little things that kept, like, it just made me feel uneasy about the appointment. So then the main thing that really got me was, after I said I have a few questions, and he was like, okay, well, like, ask your questions or whatever. And I was like, well, if it is a twin pregnancy, how do you feel about C-sections versus vaginal birth? Because I feel really strongly about wanting a vaginal birth. So I'm willing to take risks that other women may not be willing to take. Not like risks for the babies, but as for myself, as if like maybe if the second baby is maybe breech, if he, like, I was asking him if he'd be willing to turn the second baby if the first baby was head down. Of course, if they're both breech, then there's not much you can do in that situation, and you pretty much have to have a C-section, as far as I know anyway. I know several people who have, who the first baby, or baby A, is head down and baby B is still breech, and so after you deliver the baby, it's very common for the second baby to turn around to be delivered at that point. And if it's not, then I know of several women who have, the doctor will turn the baby so that the baby can come out vaginally, rather than like forcing a C-section. So I was just asking him general questions about how he felt about the whole C-section versus vaginal birth. And the first thing he said to me, which was really, I think it was really rude, he was like, and this is how he said it, so you're telling me that you're willing to take risks for your babies just so that you don't have to have a C-section? And I was like, well, I mean, like, how do you expect me to answer that? Because I'm not willing to take risks for the babies if it's going to be bad for the baby, obviously, but I'm just saying I feel really strongly about having a vaginal birth. So at that point, I felt like he was trying to make me feel guilty for wanting to have a vaginal birth. And then he went on about saying how, he's like, well, you know, you have to risk you have to weigh the risks versus the benefits, and you know, C-sections aren't nearly as dangerous as they used to be, and like a vaginal birth and a C-section are pretty much the same. And I was thinking to myself, they are so not the same. There are so many risks with C-sections, or things that can go wrong. And I'm not saying that they will or that they have for you, and I'm not against people who have C-sections. It's just, I personally don't, there's a higher risk of asthma. There's an extremely extremely higher risk of having trouble breastfeeding. And I actually looked up the rates after this appointment, and the numbers for women who breastfeed from a vaginal birth versus a cesarean is 70% of women breastfeed if they have a vaginal birth versus the 44% of women who breastfeed if they have a C-section, which is like a huge number to me. And you guys all know I'm like, I really want to breastfeed and stuff, and that's just my personal decision. So that is one of the main reasons why I don't want to have a C-section, along with all the other things, like it's an incision, it's a major surgery, and a lot of people don't realize it's a major surgery. It's not just a little like cut in your ear for an ear surgery or something. It's a major surgery, and it takes a lot longer to recover. You're in excruciating pain for like 6 to 8 weeks, and it's just, in my personal decision is just that I want to avoid a C-section at all costs, as long as it's okay for me and the babies. So anyway, I'm kind of rambling now, but he was trying to tell me all this stuff and that I knew wasn't true, and I felt like he was just making me feel bad about my decision to want to have a vaginal birth. And after he answered that question, I was like really discouraged, and I was like, I'm really emotional, so I didn't start crying, but I felt like hurt by what he was saying, because I felt like he thought that the only reason I didn't want to have a C-section is because I didn't want a scar, and that is so untrue. That is not, I would never be selfish enough to not want a C-section just because of the scar. Like, there are so many more risks for having a C-section than just a scar. Like, that has nothing to do with it. And I felt like him and the nurse kind of thought that I was being selfish in that way, and that was the reason that I didn't want to have a C-section. And so he just was pushing things on me that I am not comfortable with, and I was telling him, like, I told him obviously that I was passionate about having a vaginal birth, and he was just really discouraging in that. And I don't know if he would be supportive, and I know that he can't give me a C-section without my consent, but still, you want to have an OB that is willing to work with you and willing to encourage you and willing to be by your side and know what you want. So I just felt extremely uncomfortable by the end of the appointment. And then he said, okay, well, I'm going to put you on iron pills, which is a good idea because I needed iron pills with my daughter. And he said, since it's twins, you'll probably need iron. And he's like, I'm going to give you iron pills and prenatal vitamins. And I was like, okay. And the thing that was kind of weird to me is he didn't give me any options for prenatal vitamins, which I don't know if I just had a really good doctor before, but the doctor that I had before gave me a list of like 10 different prenatal vitamins, told me how each one of them works, what's in each one of them, what they're called, and he just said, I'm going to prescribe you some prenatal vitamins. He didn't even tell me the name. And now, like, if you look at the bottle, here it is. Let me cover some of the information. But all it says on the bottle is prenatal tablets. So, like, he was very uninformative. Like, not informative, I don't know if that's a word. And then the iron pills, it just says ferrous sulfate, which I'm assuming iron pills are pretty, like, they're all pretty much the same, but I don't know because he didn't tell me. And I just thought it was really weird how he was just pushing this and that and this and that on me, and he didn't give me any reason behind why I was taking what pills and what I was doing. And then so then I was like, well, okay, well, I have another question. And I was like, if it is twins, am I going to need more care since it's a high-risk pregnancy, or like, how does that work here? And he's like, well, what I'll do is you'll still see me only once a month, and then I'm going to send you to an ultrasound specialist. So he doesn't do the ultrasounds, which at my other place, the doctor did the ultrasounds himself so he could see what was going on, and that might be very routine. I don't know if a lot of places they have like a different ultrasound person, and it's not them doing it. And then he said, oh, and plus you're going to see a twin specialist. So I'm going to be seeing an ultrasound tech, my OB, and a twin specialist. I'm going to be seeing 3 different people for one pregnancy, and I just think that's really, it's not personal at all. Like, it's not, like, there's 3 different people, how are they, I mean, I know that the information's going to get around to each other, but it just doesn't seem right to me to have so many different people caring for me in this one pregnancy, when I would think it would just be someone who knows what he was doing, a doctor, you know? So anyway, then after I asked that, I had several more questions to ask, and the nurse just out of nowhere said, okay, I'll take it from here, and she shoved the doctor out of the room. And I was like, okay, I had more questions to ask, and I understand if he has other patients, but it was my first visit here, and I had questions, like normal questions that I'm pretty sure a lot of people ask at their first appointments just because they're curious, especially if I'm having a twin pregnancy. And she just shoved him out of the room, and then she didn't even answer my question. She said, okay, well, I'm gonna call up the prescriptions to the front so you can go get the prescriptions, and then you have to go get your lab work done, and you have to go like do this and that and this and that, and then like the appointment was done. So I just felt really uncomfortable about this whole thing. And then not to mention, right when I got out of the appointment to go sign out or whatever, they were like shoving free formula in my face, which I have nothing against formula, people who choose formula for their babies, but I don't like when people shove formula down your throat when I'm really pro breastfeeding. So that was just like a turn off to me. Like there's just so many red flags in the situation. I'm just not comfortable at all with this doctor. So anyway, basically what I'm saying from all of that is I'm going to try to find a different OB because I'm not comfortable with the one that I have now, as of right now. And I am going to keep going to appointments there just because I need some kind of prenatal care, obviously, until I can find a different doctor. But until then, I have an ultrasound scheduled for next Wednesday because I didn't do a routine ultrasound at this appointment, which before, when I switched doctors twice with Lilia, and every time I would switch a doctor, they always did an ultrasound at the first visit. So, but again, I don't know, all offices are different. So then after I left the office, I had to go get lab work done. Oh, and this is another thing that was really frustrating is I went to the lab. Well, first I had to go to the pharmacy to like order the prescriptions so they could have them done by the time I was done with the lab. And the reason they had them done, the reason they knew they were going to be done with them by the time I was out of the lab is because I literally was in the lab for 2 hours waiting. So I went in there, every single chair was full. So I went up to the front, I waited an hour and a half until they called my name, and I peed in a cup, and they said, okay, now you have to wait to get your blood drawn. And so then I waited for another half an hour, and then they called me back there, and they took 8 vials of blood, which nobody told me what any of these tests were for. The doctor didn't tell me anything about any of this stuff, which I personally know what they're for just because I have a lot of information about pregnancy, and I know I know the routine pregnancy things that you're supposed to do, but I just felt he really did not explain things well to me. And if I hadn't had a kid before, then I would have no idea what I was doing at all. Like he didn't tell me anything. It was just kind of like, okay, here you go, here you go, here you go. And I think the reason behind that is because the office that he's at it's not like the greatest kind of office, and I kind of think that he has a lot of people that come in there that aren't very educated, and they don't question what he tells them to do. And so when he gets me in there and I have all this information and I'm asking all these questions, all of a sudden he's like taken aback, and he's kind of like, well, why are you questioning me? So, and that's just like what I think. I have no idea if that's true, and maybe my next experience there will be completely different, but right off the bat I am very unhappy with where I'm at. Anyway, that's pretty much all that happened at the appointment, and my next appointment scheduled for there is October 18th, and like I said, my ultrasound is scheduled for next Wednesday. Okay, so other than that, that's pretty much all that happened there. And getting off the subject of that appointment, I am selling my car that I absolutely love, my PT Cruiser. I'm selling it today because unfortunately it's not going to be possible to fit 3 car seats back there, rear facing. So I have to sell the PT Cruiser, and I'm going to buy a van tonight. And it's a white Kia Sedona. It's a 2002. So let me know if you guys have that car and if you don't like it, because then that'd be bad if I bought it. Yeah, I have to go get a van, and I'm strictly looking for vans that have 3 seats in the middle row and then only 2 seats or 3 seats in the back. But I need 3 seats in the middle row because I think it's just kind of weird if there's only 2 seats in the middle row. So I would have 2 car seats there and then 1 car seat in the way back, and that'd be so much work to put all the kids in. So I just want 3 like bench seats or whatever it's called in the middle, which this car has, and it has 2 sliding doors, which is really good also. But yeah, so other than that, that's pretty much all. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys my 11-week belly. Okay, so here's with the shirt on. And here's with the shirt up. belly button. It's pretty down. Sorry, it's for my pants. My belly button doesn't look too popped right now, but it's like right there. And last week I was 34 and a half. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this week, yeah, last week I was 34 and a half. This week I'm 34 and 3/4. So I grew 1/4 of an inch. It's for my pants, it's not stretch marks. And almost 35. It's trying to push to 35. So I'm gonna stick it at, yeah, 34 and 3/4. So that is pretty much all for this week. If you have any questions, let me know. And other than that, I will talk to you guys for week 12. Bye.